Hello everyone and welcome to the decks of the weekend. I just returned from Four Seasons. In fact, I'm not streaming on Monday morning because, well, it was a very long weekend. You know, those weekends full of magic, not that much sleep. So I felt like I needed a lot more sleep this morning, and I did. Woke up, got my decks of the weekend together, we're ready to talk about them. First, it's modern, and I am very proud to show you the decks that I top 8 very smoothly for Seasons tournaments. So for those of you who don't know, Four Seasons tournaments is a event that happen every 3 months, every season in Italy, and it's very large. This one was 274 players. We never really played a top 8. We always split because it's around like 10 p.m. and Italians love to go to dinner, and in 10 p.m. it's still like about the right time where we can go to dinner. So I went 7-0, just doubled ID, got my prize, left for dinner. Actually, pretty fun thing is that I 7-0 ID, then I just did something, then I went to the hotel, shower to because a long day, and then I came back and I ID'd again for the next round. So it was pretty cool that I got to I got to do the mid tournament shower because I could just come back to ID and then split the top 8. The prize was actually very cool because the prize were equally split among the top 8. So even if somebody wanted to play, I'm like, sure, you play for the trophy. I don't care. Really like that change they did. But anyway, this was the deck that I came up with. It plays Leyline Binding, and this card is sick. So I was pretty locked on Vivian combo. I've played the deck. It's going up today on the YouTube channel. The Vivian combo list that I was going to play at the tournament. But then on Sunday, I believe I played 4 color Rhinos with Leyline Binding, and I was so impressed by this card. This card is literally everything that Rhinos needed. It's an unconditional removal spell that comes off on turn 2, which is the whole of the Rhino deck, is the turn 2 play, because you only have like Fire Ice and maybe Death Gone, or like awful cards like Bone Crusher and Brazen Borrower, which are not good. Like, you play them, but they're not good. They're not cards that want to make you play this deck in Modern. So I felt like the Rhinos deck wasn't good because it was playing these bad cards, like full of shocks. But Leyline Binding changes everything because this is a 1 mana card that answers Teferi, answers Murktide Region, answers, honestly everything. Chalice of the Void. All your problems. And I repeat 1 mana because you go turn 1 in Data Triumph, turn 2 Steam Vents, and you unlocked a turn 1, a 1 mana Leyline Binding without taking 2 damage from your fetches. So I actually came up with the list. I only had 4 flex slots because every card is a bomb, basically. Fury, Solitude, Omnath. Every card is a bomb. But Ardent Plea, you could argue, is the worst card of the deck because once you draw your 4, once you put into on the stack 4 Crushing Footfalls, which happens, it happens, people just counter them. Unless you have an endurance to put them down, you run out of Rhinos. It's actually a thing. And so Ardent Plea, Outburst, and Charlotte Agent might be that draw. But outside of those cases, Ardent Plea is good because it lets you consistently go turn 3 Rhinos, turn 4 Rhinos plus 1 mana Leyline Binding, which is a very important thing and why this deck is very good. But yeah, I thought a lot about the mana base. Actually, I decided on Friday that I was going to change the deck from Vivian to this, but I didn't have time to play, so I only brainstormed the sequencing and the mana base that I needed, because most lists that I saw just had random lands, because that's a problem with Modern Magic. People just net deck, and they don't even question if the mana base is good or not. You just net deck a 4-color mana base from a player, and you hope that they were right, and you don't even think about it. Not only the mana base, you just net deck in general these days. So I was like, okay, I like the list, but the mana base cannot be good. You can't have 3/3/3 2/2 fetches. Like, that's just no way that's right. So I actually stayed there and went for a walk and thought about what was the combination of Triumphs and Shockland that was the best for me. And I came up with in that the Triumph Steam Vents. Why? Because on turn 1, you usually don't do anything. You can do Crashing Footfalls, which case the combination of Temple Garden plus Grixis Trio might be better. Because on turn 1, you suspend Crashing Footfalls with Temple Garden. On turn 2, you fetch your Grixis Trio, and then you go 1 mana Binding. But at the same time, if you do that, sorry, if you don't have a Crushing Footfalls, it's much better to go in that Triumph Steam Vents because you have access to the 1 mana Leyline Binding, or you can, instead of fetching Steam Vents, you fetch Rogrin Triumph. So you still unlock all the 5 colors, but instead of going for Steam Vents, you go for a land that gives you double white, which is important because on turn 4, you very often go 3 drop that cost white mana plus 1 mana Leyline Binding. So I brainstormed a lot of scenarios, and I came up with Indata Triumph plus Steam Vents. Once I came up with that, I had to think about a combination of fetch lands that would be the most likely to give me this. So I didn't play any Windswept Teeth or Scalding Tarn, but I only focused on Arid Mesa, Flooded Strand, Misty Rainforest, and Wooded Foothills. But then I was like, this is only 16 fetch lands. I need more, because I need more lands to make sure that I can cast my spells. So I added 2 more fetch lands, that is Windswept Teeth and Scalding Tarn. And although these don't always fetch your combination of turn 1 Indata Triumph, turn 2 Steam Vents, because, well, these cards just don't fetch for those, you're oftentimes going to draw them together with a land that fetches all the combinations, so you just fetch accordingly. So really the deck is important because of that sequencing. So I'm taking a long time to explain you all of this because this is, I want to say, my deck, because, you know, I came up with it, I won every match. Of course, it's not my deck. I see many people playing Uranus and things like that, but I took it to my heart because I think it was something that I went against all the, oh yeah, you should play Blur Murktide because, you know, it's a good deck, you should play Vivian Com because you play well, or you know it. Took a new deck, run the tables, very good choice, highly recommended. I'm writing an article for CFP Pro today with all the sideboarding. Next event to talk about is Pioneer. Pioneer also had a pretty important shakeup with Dominaria. 2 very powerful cards got added in this already very good archetype, which are Liliana of the Veil and Shielded the Apocalypse. So Shielded the Apocalypse is a card that doesn't look amazing when you read it, because it's like, usually cards that come into play and die are not great in Pioneer, or just in general in Magic, but this is huge because Fable of the Mirror Breaker is one of the most popular cards. If your opponent plays turn 3 Fable, and you play turn 4 Shielded, they take 6 damage if they want to draw cards, so they don't want to draw cards. And then if you have a creature laying around, it's very hard to kill because you only have Dreadbore. This is the list that won Saturday Challenge, and now it's kind of stuck. People are playing 3 Shielded, 2 Shielded, a card that's raising up in price on Magic Online very much. Like, it was 20 when I bought it, and now it's like 40, 45, so if it's taking the same raising price of other cards, it will also come up in paper. So if you like Rakdos mid-range in Pioneer, this is the moment to play it because it's a very good deck in the metagame. Very good choice, and Shielded the Apocalypse is the card to replace Kalitas and Chandra with. Let's now go over to Legacy, because Legacy, there's also the Legacy main event on Sunday with 370 people. I also played in that one, although I went 3-3 drop with Blue-Red Delver, a deck that dominated the tournament as always, with 3 Blue-Red Delver in the top 8, 1 Blue-Red Shredder, that is basically Delver but without Delver but with Shredder, and 1 Rug Delver but no iteration with Stifle, so kind of a little weird thing. But the deck that actually won the event was Doomsday. I say won, but as I explained earlier, everyone just dropped after making top 8, and there was only a final between the 2 foreign players. The Pepmin from Germany, he was playing 4-color Minsky, is the GP winner of GP Bologna, and a player from Slovakia, which I wrote the name down, and the name is Dalibor Zego. He won the final match against 4-color with Doomsday, and this is a deck that is very hard to pilot. You can't just pick it up and play. You need to exactly know what are the pilots with Doomsday. You can go with Consider, and I don't know, this list doesn't play Lance at Diamond and the deep analysis, so, but I'm sure you can make up some very easy piles with Street Rate, Edge Bottom, and Thassa's Oracle, but most of the time this is actually going to be a little tougher to just piece together when this deck is not easy to play, and you have to be it's definitely one of the hardest combo deck of the format. Not only because you go like, yeah, easy game, land Doomsday, Dark Ritual Doomsday, you lose, but at the same time you have to play around like Rishada Port, Blood Moon, Chalice of the Void. It's just a lot of things that you might not think that you actually have to play around. And or grindstone milling your card, mirroring your Thassa's Oracle, also a cool way to lose. But I think another important thing of the weekend was Minsk and Boo. Minsk and Boo placed first in both Legacy Challenge in the 4-color Naya Adepts and in the NZD 80 cards you are in good cards, as well as again second place in PEM Index. So Minsk and Boo definitely a card. Last week I highlighted it. It's a very good card. It's going to be a pillar of Legacy. Blue Red Delver still dominating, but there's other options. And again, I played Blue Red Delver, win 33. I mean, not saying that the deck sucks, but yeah, I mean it's a great deck, most likely the best deck in the format, but I think the format isn't solved. But speaking of solved format, Pauper. Pauper is solved. We're gonna get a ban very soon. I often don't talk about bans, but there's no way that these things remain legal. I was very impressed with Initiative the first time I played it. If you remember, I made an initiative deck as soon as the mechanic went on in paper. It wasn't on arena for a very long time, so the paper format, the Pauper bands used to focus on affinity because the Pauper players only focus on bands. And this time, the next band to talk about is Underdark Explorer. No, it's not this one. They probably will not ban this one, but they will ban Vicious Bottle Rager and Arakocra's Neck. Those are the two initiative cards that come down as early as turn 4. And this deck that won Saturday Challenge, and I think also won Sunday, might be wrong actually. No, actually, no, I think Sunday was won by a deck with foil, the Force of Foil, and like cheap counters to counter the Turbo Initiative decks, like this sub-meta game around this broken mechanic. People play unblockable thing like Ginger Brutal, Slither Blade, definitely not a sign of health. But yeah, this deck was playing 4 Lotus Petal, 4 Peat Bog, 4 Saprazan Scary, 4 Dark Ritual, 4 Cabal Ritual, 4 Siemens Spirit Guide. All your goal is to power at these initiative cards as early as possible, so you're going card disadvantage in the early game because you're gonna get card advantage with them in the late game. Very powerful mechanic. You also have free removal spelling stuff out. But yeah, on my league last Thursday, because we have a Pauper league, I played Turbo Initiative, which I thought was Turbo, but was less Turbo than this. I was just playing Demir, and I had only Petal and Ritual, and I didn't have the Underdark Explorer. This is the 5 mana one. Usually you play 8 of the 4 one and you're fine, but this deck went to another level. But yeah, I'll be very surprised if we get to play with these cards for a little while longer. And again, I don't call for bans, but obviously I do whenever it's like obvious. And the initiative mechanic, it's very good, and if it comes together paired with 2 4-drops that have 4 and 5 toughness, which is like impossible to, because if it was like, let's say the green one, 5 mana 5/4, sure, but that's 5 mana again, and also it's green. It's like a worse color, and you cannot deny that. Blue and black are the best colors, so whenever you pair them with a very good initiative cards, naturally they will just succeed better than any other color. But yeah, so I played it. I talked about 4 formats. I maybe was a little bit longer about the modern one, but I really wanted to get in details because this is my platform to talk to you personally on my YouTube channel about it. That's it. That's it for the week. For the Monday, I'll be back every day with a new video. And next week with the decks of the weekend. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.